Welcome to the Dr. Dad's podcast, where a naturopath and chiropractor come together each week to share lifestyle medicine, health advice, and inspiring interviews with some of the top experts in health and wellness, bringing you the latest in nutrition, exercise, ancient healing, toxins and detox, your microbiome, mindset, hormones, brain, and much more. Stay tuned. We're going to teach you how to experience growth daily.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Dad's podcast. I'm here with the Dr. David Wardy. Good to see you again, bro.
How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm glad that you and I get to be in the driver's seat chatting with each other again, because we got a fun discussion coming up today.
I've been looking forward to this one, man. We kind of talked about doing this like a couple of weeks ago, right? And then as I was putting the list together, I was like, this is fun. These are like all of our favorite things.
That's it. Well, I mean, I think it's important having discussions about the things that we like to do on a somewhat regular basis, because we're not superheroes, even though our avatars on our website would suggest something different. But we do believe that recovery should be the biggest part of anyone's plan, and that's recovery on the physical level, the emotional level, spiritual level, the biochemical level, et cetera, et cetera. So what David and I did was create a list of things that we like to do on a pretty regular basis to feel more superhuman, to feel like that superhero, that super dad, that doctor, that the husband, the best version of ourselves, at whatever capacity that could be at any point in time. So where do you want to start, buddy?
I figure we just go back and forth, brother. We can just, you pick one, I'll pick one. What's interesting is we had some of the same stuff on both of our lists. Yeah. So once we hit those, we can just knock them both out at the same time. Yeah. But why don't we start with the ones that you and me both have on our list?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll let you start, man. But pick one of those, I think. Yeah.
So, let's start with, the Aminos in PUREFORM. So whenever we think about, I guess, healing or baseline support, we always want to think of like, what are the essential ingredients that we need in our diet in order to make healthy cells, and more specifically healthy cell membranes, and that's your amino acids and fatty acids. And so they obviously offer some version of a caloric intake, but really what they're doing is more creating that structural integrity and speeding up repair and supporting a more of an anti-inflammatory kind of state with the fatty acids. But really, it's creating the structural integrity that gives the proper or the appropriate charge, the electrical charge within our cells. And I think that's what's really interesting about supplementing according to what gives life in your body. There's a structural integrity component, which makes up that actual, I guess the surface area or the shape of our cells, which comes from that structure of these essential ingredients. But then there's also like the life-giving aspect, having that proper orientation or structure within a cell allows our water inside of our cell to organize appropriately, which allows the nervous system of the cell, the electricity of the cell to do what it's supposed to do. And when all of those components are working properly, we get proper hormone expression, we get proper ability to deal with the different stressors that our body and cells are exposed to. We get to not get stuck in, a chronic state of inflammation. We get more efficient at detoxifying our environment when we've got that proper structural integrity. So I think supplementing in what's actually essential to build a healthy body and healthy cells are absolutely critical.
Well, and like to second what you're saying, man, one of the big things I say, to people all the time is, as a population, we just have these deficiencies where we're just not getting enough of some of these things, right? And like you're saying, without those things, we can't have that beautiful coherence of this divine machine's ability to communicate and to function properly. And, like you're saying, the cell membrane, you get into things like charge and, conductance and hormones and even enzymes. And I mean, it goes beyond probably almost every tissue of the body, right?
Yeah.
So big lesson there is you need them. If you're not taking them, you need to get on them. And I honestly challenge our listeners to take like a 30-day challenge and get on some Body Health Aminos and do at least 2 servings a day, and then see how you feel at the end of the month. Like, it's always worth, it's not going to cost you much to just put it to the challenge and see what difference it makes in your daily and how you feel and how your body feels.
Yeah. And like, what are some of the benefits you've noticed? For me, I'm curious.
Yeah. So for me, because when I'm not training, I notice I'm able to maintain muscle density. And so I see it a whole lot easier to maintain muscle, which is number one. Because when I'm not training, I've noticed as I've gotten older, I don't hold on to muscle as long. You know, you have to kind of put a little more stress on your muscle to maintain it as you get older than when you're a young buck, right? So that would be one of the main things. And then when I'm training for recovery, when I'm honestly training a lot, it helps a ton for like having that delayed onset soreness and things like that. I notice a big boost in my libido, man. Like, no joke. Like, there's a noticeable difference in your hormones because you're getting that anabolic effect because you're not deficient, right?
Yeah.
So I notice a significant, and I think so does my wife, but definitely a big notice on those two things, man. And then some of the benefits aren't as noticeable, right? But they're still being done. Like I talk about, you know, you're gonna digest food better. It's helping maintain the integrity of your gut lining. It's maintaining, you know, organ integrity of the tissues and, you know, arterial walls. I mean, it goes beyond just what me and Nick are speaking about, what you can maybe notice in plain sight and how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that a lot of our patients have, or clinic members have noticed is that just even anxiety, you know, there's a massive change in your mood. And this is, I can't say that it's a silver bullet for everybody, but there's been enough people that have gone like, wow, these amino acids really calm things down. They help me to see life a little bit easier. Like I'm not so stressed out. And I've had some people find that it helps them with sleep. And then the other really common one is just cravings. You know, like we're not so sugar dependent when we've got that satiation from amino acids. And so yeah, there's just some feedback that people have noticed. So I would agree with you on the taking the challenge. Like it's not gonna hurt you. It's only gonna add value. Some of the feedback though, I don't know if you're getting this too, David, but some of the people don't love the sweetness of the amino acids. So I've told them to put it into a greens or mix in a greens powder. I've told them to add in some sea salt or squeeze a bit of a lemon in there. And that's been the only sort of drawback. Some people don't like the flavor.
I'll recommend just mixing it with Body Health's electrolytes, man.
Yeah.
They have we stock the orange and the watermelon at my house, so we'll dump, you know, a scoop of electrolytes or a scoop and a half, and then a couple scoops of those aminos, and you don't really get that nasty taste. So it really, like Nick's saying, whether it's another phytonutrient blend, adding it to something else, not the best straight up, but there's ways to get it down, and it's not that bad.
Yeah. And I find it's something you just adjust to over time. So for some people,
sure.
they have a bit of a struggle with it initially. Like even myself, I didn't love that it was sweet because, you know, I'm not used to consuming beverages that are sweet anymore. So that was a bit of this is something I have to get used to a little bit. So I understand. But I think the suggestions you suggested were great. Cool. Okay. So that's number 2.
Let's go to the BrainTap, man.
Let's do
that
it.
was on both of our lists. So BrainTap, we're talking about getting better entrainment, coherence, firing and wiring these nerve cells in our brain together. Analogy I always give for people, when you're using a device like the BrainTap to just focus on brain exercise, it's kind of like you're a Ferrari and you're helping your brain be more efficient at switching gears. You know, you have like a 6-speed and you've got to be able to switch gears all day long depending on what you're doing, whether you're focusing on work or it's time to go to sleep or you want to get into creative mode or you need to calm down and relax. The inefficiency when it's not there is very noticeable in how we feel on a daily basis, from feeling anxious to depressed to tired to I can't sleep to I can't focus on my work right now and nothing's going down. There's no retention or my processing and my cognition. So the thing I love about the BrainTap, man, and what really turned me on to it in the beginning, you know, I told you I was at a conference. I woke up very anxious that morning for some reason, and that's not like me to have any kind of anxiety. And they just happened to have a BrainTap booth at the conference I was at. So I jumped on the chair, I did a 15-minute session, and I immediately shifted out of it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this thing? And so giving you all these benefits of what meditation is supposed to bring us, but all you got to do is kick back and throw on a headset and just relax, and you basically get it done almost for you. And, you know, the other thing I love about BrainTap and things that, you know, I'll hear from clients is it has, number one, the many uses I just talked about, where it's used as a tool, and you have to use it as a tool. So I have a lot of people use it for sleep. I have some people that deal with anxiety. They'll throw that bad boy on immediately when they start to feel anxious, and it pulls them right out of it. We use it for brain rehab, for brain trauma, things like that. And really for like long-term benefit for even kids that are going through learning as they're growing up. It's great to help them get their brain mapped into that state to help them have more focus and cognition and processing, so they can learn more and absorb more and just show up as better students when it's time to learn.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you nailed every reason why we use it. And I think of those people who are like, oh, I just can't meditate. I can't turn the brain off. And so that's a way to bypass it. I would say that, and I think it's important. We are talking about where the downfalls are. And I think some of the feedback that some people don't like Dr. Porter's voice. So when you're listening to these audios, some of them have Dr. Patrick Porter, who's a total beast of a human being, and we had him on our podcast, and you should definitely listen to his podcast that we did with him. But some people don't, for whatever reason, don't jive with his voice. And so what we do is, there's different programs. So there's ones that are just auditory sounds and binaural beats and things like that. And then there's some that have him, and there's some that have different people, different doctors and different people doing some of these hypnotherapy or guided visualization sessions. But, other than that, the minutia of people that really are triggered by his voice for whatever reason, there's ways around that. But it really, the beauty is just this passive entrainment. And so you're getting this wonderful flickering of lights and near infrared light into your ears, and that as it bathes the ear circulation moves into your brain. So it's a great way to get light into your brain. And then you're getting the entrainment through the retinal flashing, and then all the auditory magic that happens from the binaural beats to everything else that happens from the hypnotherapy to the guided visualization, et cetera, et cetera. It's so many things in one device, which is really, really cool. And there's some audios where it's called dual voice. So you're getting these sort of two tracks playing at once, which initially can be a little bit confusing because you're listening to an overlay of two different audios coming in at in the different sides of the brain. And it's so there's this challenge component to it as well, not just based on solely on recovery. So there's this whole optimization and brain performance improvement that happens, as well as this deep relaxation and integration and parasympathetic induction. So many good things to say about it.
Well, the other thing I would say there, to kind of in addition to what you're saying about meditation, is a lot of people don't meditate properly. They think they are, but they're actually not getting any benefit. They've tested this. A large amount of people that think they're like these master meditators, it's not showing any changes neurologically.
Yeah.
So they've actually done research studies with the BrainTap, and there are permanent changes when you use this thing on a regular basis. So it's a great tool, I think, maybe to help you expand your not just your knowledge, but your practice of meditation, if that is something that you already use, to maybe take you to the next level, to help you start learning what those brain states feel like when you are achieving them. Because they are noticeable when you feel this shift, I would say that.
Yeah. And it's like anything. The more you incorporate it, the more benefit you're going to get.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So what else do we have as a similar one? Is that it?
The Oura Ring.
Oura Ring. I didn't put it on mine, but I would fundamentally agree with you.
Oh, yeah, let's just do that one. Yeah, we'll do the Oura Ring.
Okay, do it, buddy.
So Oura Ring, me and Nick have talked about this many, many times. We constantly bring this up in all types of episodes, depending on what we're talking about. But we are huge on measuring your biomarkers for your performance to put a lot of the processes that you implement in your lifestyle to the test, number one, to track your readiness. So the thing that the Oura gives is it's tracking your activity throughout the day. It tracks your sleep markers. It looks at things like respiration, HRV, body temperature. It tracks your deep sleep, your light sleep, your REM. It shows you based off activities. You can add workouts in there. And it's constantly giving you a readiness score every day when you wake up. Now, the importance of doing something like that is when we put stress on our bodies, it's either a good or a bad stress. And sometimes when we go and let's say you want to show up to the gym or you've got a busy day ahead of you and you're committing yourself to a lot of things that maybe you need to cut back on that day, you're going to basically not take any strides forward. You're actually causing yourself to move towards an exhaustion type mode. So what a better way to like have an idea of like, okay, I didn't sleep well. Look at my activity levels the last few days. My readiness score is really low. I think I need to back off a little bit, get more rest, focus on my sleep, and do some things to start recovering so that I can show up in maybe a couple days and be recharged and revamped where I need to be, versus just kind of walking blind into the world and just continually doing things without having any clue how that's going to affect you in the long run. And then you kind of hitting the wall every once in a while, not understanding why.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest thing I got out of the Aura Ring was when I exercise, knowing when to do intense exercise some days and others not intense exercise, because when we overdo it with intensity and we need to be recovering, it turns out to be a bad stressor on our bodies and actually puts us more into, you know, deficiencies and exhaustion. The other thing is the sleep component. If you're not tracking your sleep, you don't know how well you're recovering. So then again, you're just guessing all the time. So it takes a lot of the guessworking out. It's very accurate. I think I've had mine for now like 5 years, I think. And I love it. I've turned like a good, maybe half of my patients onto them. So it's really cool when you start to see your patients walking in and they have their Aura rings on and they all love them. They say, man, this was a great investment. I love this thing. And then, like I said, when you're changing these processes in your lifestyle, you want to measure them sometimes and see, is this really working? Am I getting any benefit out of this? How's this showing? And so I'll give you an example. I was talking to Nick before I got onto the podcast today. As I came down with something over the weekend, I got a little bit of a head cold, and it started showing me a couple of days before that my body temperature was rising. I wasn't recovering as well, and I wasn't really moving past that threshold. Usually when it dips down, I can get it back up, and I just got stuck. And then before I knew it, boom, it showed right away. Heart rate's up, temperature's up. Are you okay? It always knows when you're about to get sick, and it's never been wrong over the past 5 years when I've actually used this thing. So I love it, man. I mean, that's one of my faves.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it's one of those ones too, like it's EMF friendly in the sense that you can turn on airplane mode while you're sleeping. There's no funny lights that are coming off it that you see on some of the other devices. My one bit of feedback might be that and I know you can sort of chunk out a little bit of HRV, I think, during a specific time window, but I would like maybe a device like this that gives more consistent HRV data, you know, one little sidebar.
No, I'm with you. I mean, there are some things I think they've tried. They actually updated it again, and you're not able to like track some of these things in real time anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe in the future, because they're doing software updates, they might have something where you can just run through an HRV for maybe like 3 minutes and see where you're at, and then get some data there. But no, I'm with you on that. But the future holds some bright
totally
improvements.
For all the other benefits that you get out of it. It's more like that would be a nice add-on or a nice feature that would be great to see. But I love it too. Yeah, for all those reasons. Okay, so why don't we jump into...
we had one more, and that's...
Paleo Valley.
Take that one. Yeah.
Paleo Valley. I mean, this is how long have you been using similar stuff?
I think I've been using theirs for at least 3 years.
Okay.
At least 3 years.
Yeah, for us about a year and a little bit. I love that company. I mean, so this is a what do I want to say? A fully organic, properly tested, really good company. I mean, the guys at Paleo Valley, or the team at Paleo Valley, is really all about customer education and support. They don't have this huge laundry list of different products. They really fine tune the kind of products that they're using. And so I've used a ton of their different products, but I do like, you know, not that we're big on snacking, but there are some tools that can be used as a sort of quote unquote snack that they've got. The collagen bars, the beef sticks, which are really great. Our youngest son is a total carnivore, and he'd like never found tastier and healthier pepperoni sticks than what we find from them. But I use their collagen on a regular basis. I use their organ meat supplement as well, that superfood supplement. And so they've just got really good quality, highly nutritious products. And it's all food based, which is really, really wonderful as well. It's not just, here's your B vitamins. Here's your B vitamins that are coming from these organ meats, which are superfoods.
Well, and source, right? Like, you're talking great company, everything that they put in these bars and this collagen and these beef sticks that they sell is sourced from grass-fed, right? And they're using it and pulling it from the right places. It's clean. And there's so much, for example, just the beef sticks and jerky. There's so much junk out there, man. It's really hard to find really clean stuff when you need to have these things. I like them because if, we talk about finding these great things that we can have that are for convenience but aren't unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
So beef sticks, for me, I always keep a stack of them in the office, because if I am getting hungry and I can't make it to lunch, or I'm having to jump on a podcast after I get out of work with you and I'm just cramped for time, I can always either grab a bar, I can grab a beef stick and something, or a couple beef sticks to hold me down for a little while, until I can go eat a meal later. And I don't feel guilty about it, and it satisfies me, man. And they taste amazing. I mean, we have 5 different flavors that we love. Diego loves them.
Yeah.
He goes in there and slams them, and we have to almost tell him just one right now, because he wants to eat 2 or 3 when he goes into the pantry sometimes. But family favorite over here, man. We get down on all their stuff.
Yeah. And they also have they've got some mushroom products too, don't they? Nootropic and
I haven't looked into that stuff. We just kind of been sticking around the beef sticks and their bars and stuff. Yeah, but are they adding some of that to their line as well?
Yeah, they've got a brain supplement and nootropic kind of one.
Okay.
Which is more the mushroom components. I've tried that one as well. I do like it. So yeah, they're just it's worth checking out their website, because they've got a lot of education on how they're acquiring their products and how they make them and everything. So yeah, amazing company.
All right, what's next, man?
All right, I think this is where we've got a little bit of divergence in some of our stuff. So why don't we focus on a little bit of recovery stuff? What are some home things that you do for recovery?
That's where I was going to go next, because you were talking glandulars, right? So I work with a company out of my clinic called Optimal Health Systems. I've used them for quite a long time, and the reason I'm with them now has a lot to do with Dr. Brimhall, who we interviewed on our podcast a while back, because he's a formulator. And this is actually his formulation with OHS, and it's called OPTI-ADRENAL. So glandulars are very powerful, especially when we run into these states of where we're under a lot of chronic stress and we're moving more into what we call adrenal fatigue, or some people call it adrenal exhaustion. So one of the things I educate a lot of my clients on is this supplement in particular is full of glandulars, and then it has a lot of B vitamins to support your cortisol and your adrenal glands when you're in these run and gun modes with work or life and things are getting crazy, but you're starting to notice that you're starting to drag a little bit. So there's 3 telltale signs I tell everybody when you're starting to move into adrenal fatigue. One is you start to hit the snooze button, you're waking up, and you're starting to feel like you're dragging a little bit. 2, you'll go from a lying or a sitting position to standing up real fast, and you get a little dizzy. And then 3, you'll notice when you go from indoors to outdoors and you feel like you can't open your eyes because the light is so bright. That's because your pupillary light reflex, you just keep blowing out because of the amount of cortisol you can't produce in your system. So these 3 telltale signs I teach all my patients, and then it's not an all-time supplement. A lot of times they'll take it for 4 or 5 days till they start to feel themselves coming back. They'll lower their stress levels. They focus on recovery while they're doing this, okay, which is the other big piece. And then they'll come off of it. So it's always in the cabinet. They know it's there. They know when do they need to start pumping it through their system just to help assist their bodies to deal with the stress. And then they come off. So one of my faves, I've been literally carrying this stuff in my clinic for 15 years. It's one of my patients' favorites. I sell a ton of this stuff and people refill on it all the time just because it works so well.
Yeah, I like how you're describing that, because I think a lot of people get stuck on their adrenal supplements for forever or years.
No.
Yeah, and I think that there's a time and a place, and if you're not going to address all the other underlying reasons for why the body's under such, a stress response, a chronic one. I mean, we don't want to be stuck or dependent on anything. And so that's one of those ones that I like how you said you cycle it in as needed and use it as that little extra boost, but it's not a forever thing.
Well, another big thing too is my practice has changed a lot. I didn't used to have NIS and some of these other things I utilize now. Now I can get more upstream to the brain, work on the neural fatigue aspect coming from the brain. And then this is just to get them back out of it in the next couple of days. And then they're back to where they want to be and they're hitting the sweet spot and they feel good. Before I didn't have that. So I would leave people on this much longer than they actually needed to be. But now it's just kind of every once in a while type thing that I tell people to use it for. Because usually when you're having this adrenal fatigue, it's actually coming upstream from the brain. It's not from the adrenals. You're in what's called neural fatigue, which we've talked about before. Your nervous system's just been in that fight or flight survival defense mode too long. You're losing that prefrontal cortex limbic connection, and your body just basically can't keep up, and you're in that nice primal reaction stress mode where you can't turn off your thoughts, and you got monkey brain, and you can't sleep well, and you're noticing you're dragging, and you have brain fog and bouts of anxiety, and all that kind of comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So you get further upstream, like I'm saying, you focus on the recovery, you do something that's similar maybe to NIS and get your nervous system back online. You start to notice that just will maybe assist you when you have these little bouts.
Yeah, so good. I think of these kind of things, these tools, while you're addressing the upstream issues, the neural integration system is an amazing and effective tool to help to really, unhook those people that are stuck in that chronic state of dis-ease, right? So important to unplug that.
It's magical, buddy. It's magical.
Yeah, love it. So what about the OptiBFF? Did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that one. That's probably one of my second favorites. So OptiBFF is also made by OHS. And this is, it actually stands for, I'm going to look it up real quick because I'm having a brain fart, everybody. See, I even have brain farts sometimes. I don't want to say the wrong thing. That's why I'm checking.
BFF could stand for brain fart freer.
Well, I think it's blood flow. Yeah, right? Let me see what he calls it here. Yeah, blood vessel flexibility formula. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I just call it OptiBFF. That's exactly why I honestly didn't know the name of it. So this stuff's pretty awesome. It has a lot of stuff in one supplement, and I use it for a lot of different things. So this thing has some creatine in it. It has a little bit of green tea, not too much. The big thing with caffeine is you don't want to overdo it. This is natural, just green tea and just the right amount. And then it helps boost our nitric oxide levels. So you're getting a boost of nitric oxide, you're getting a nice boost of creatine in your system and a little bit of green tea. So this can be used for many things. So I have patients that use this just to start their day. They don't like drinking coffee, but they'll pop a couple of these tabs, gets their circulation going in their body. Yeah. It kind of wakes their body up, supporting muscles, right? And then it's giving them that little energy boost in the morning. Great for a pre-workout and while you're working out. So a lot of times I'll chew a tablet before I go to do like any kind of training or going to judo class, and then I'll suck on one during class. And they're like little chalky tablets, right? And then a lot of times I'll have one after, or if I go on a run, I have one in my pocket. Mid-run, I'll pop another one. Keeps that blood moving and perfusing my tissues really well, wakes my brain up, gives me that boost, and it's supporting my muscle tissue. So one of my favorites for convenience, and they taste pretty good. And it's just one of those things that I've just seen a lot of popularity over time with my patients, and because of the convenience factor and then how they feel when they're on it, and supports a lot of different things.
Well, it's kind of nice to have something just like super quick that you could, like you said, you just pop in your mouth and it has all your creatine and all the other sort of energizing nutrients that help to support blood flow, all that, things that you kind of want in a more quick kind of way. So that sounds awesome.
There's no fall off, right? So it's not one of these things you're going to stimulate. It's not like this big energy booster and fall off, right? There's just the right amount of caffeine. So
yeah. And
again, the bigger reason I'd probably tell you is just for the circulation that you get from it too, along with the energy. So
it's awesome. Well, from there, why don't we roll on over to something sort of similar, caffeine related. I mean, you wrote down for Sigmatic, a mushroom blend. One that we're using is a local one called Zoomer's Mushroom Coffee. And that's where I add in some of the bone broth collagen from Paleo Valley. But I tell you, man, I love those mushroom blends. The understanding the world of mushrooms. We talked a little bit about Paul Stamets before. He's the main mushroom guy. There's a great documentary on Netflix and here in Canada, anyways, called is it Fantastic Fungi? I think it is. And such a great insight into the role of mushrooms, and finding that they're making their way into these drinks, into these nootropics and other ways. Like, I love this whole revival that's happening in the world of mushroom, and also psychedelics too. I think is fascinating. It's a whole other discussion, of course, but it's great to see this pairing because they definitely go so well together.
Oh, it's funny. You take any regular coffee drinker and you turn them on to these coffee mushroom blends, and they're like, "Oh my God, this stuff's amazing!" Right? And it's that adaptogenic aspect, right, that you're getting from those mushrooms. There's also immune health benefits to these things long term. So, for Sigmatic, and I think that other company you talk about, they probably sell the products that are just immune based with mushroom blends, which For Sigmatic has an immune one. But buddy, I love my Four Sigmatic coffee. Like, I look forward to that thing every morning because it gets me boosted in the morning. It's not really a caffeine thing. You just feel like your brain wake up. You're going to handle stress better. You're walking into your day like ready to go. And the taste is awesome. I love the taste of their coffee.
Yeah, there's something about the acidity too. There's something about just having straight up coffee that just feels like a bit of a drain on your body. And I don't know what it is. There's just this subtle acid component to drinking coffee, even when you add the collagen and all the other stuff to it, versus the mushroom blend. It just feels clean, and and then obviously there's in the ones that we use, there's turkey tail, there's lion's mane, so you do have some of these nootropic kind of stimulating ones, cordyceps as well. So love those. Another company we use actually is called Cytomatrix, but they've got a great blend called not Mitomatrix, but Mycomatrix, I think it is. But it's just the blend of 7 or 8 of the different mushroom blends, from cordyceps, turkey tail to maitake, shiitake, ganoderma. Well, I guess that's shiitake, reishi, of course. So they're kind of all in there, and then that's something you can actually throw into your tea or your coffee or soup, or throw in your salad if you want to. I mean, it's nice to be able to incorporate these things in different foods and drinks into our daily basis. So
many medicinal aspects of these guys, right? And it's fun. Clarissa was always, I hate mushrooms. Then I got her into the coffee, and then now we watched Fantastic Fungi, and now I can put it in my cooking because I used to love to cook with mushrooms. So she's all down for me to throw all kinds of mushrooms in our food now. So it's been a lot of fun, man.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. So let's talk about another recovery routine. You wrote down the stick, and maybe that's a recovery tool. I'm not sure. So
so the stick, this is a quick, easy one. So there's a company called Intracell that makes these. There's different lengths. There's short to long ones. You guys have probably seen these on TV. Athletes use them on the sideline, the NFL and college. But it literally looks like a stick, and it has these little things that will roll as you're rolling out, like your quads and your hamstrings or your glutes or your back or your neck. And it's a really neat tool because it gets all the knots out of your muscles. It gives you the same benefits of stretching these muscles and loosening you up before you're either going to exercise, or if you're trying to recover, or if you just feel stiff and you're trying to stretch out into your body glove a little bit more. I have mine. I've had it for probably 15 years. I love it. I use it all the time. And I constantly am pointing my patients to buy one of these and just have it. I got a basket in my bedroom, which we'll talk about some of these other tools in a second. And it has all my little recovery tools in there. So me and Clarissa just jump. We grab stuff out of there all the time throughout the week, and we use it on our body. And we're just focusing on the things that we need to address because we have that body awareness that we're supposed to have to address things in real time. And they're easy tools to just kind of work on these little kinks that we get in our soft tissue or our fascia, as we're trying to just work our way through our week or whatever it may be that we have going on.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, let's throw a foam rolling in there. I mean, I think this is a little bit more targeted than foam rolling to some degree. Just you got a little bit more. You can, I guess foam rolling you can apply pressure differently too, but it's just a different tool for doing something similar. And then rapid release, of course, right? Like that we did a whole podcast on that. I mean, that's great for targeting, hitting areas that you can't. And obviously it's great to have a partner that can do it on you or you on them. So having a recovery tool like that at home to shift up the lymphatics, to roll the muscle a little bit more, to dig into some of those trigger points a little bit, super helpful.
Well, and just to give two more in addition with those, because we'll wrap those all into one. There's TP Therapy. TP Therapy makes two tools called the MB5 Vibe and the Charge Vibe, and these are like one's a ball and it vibrates. You can charge it. The other one is like this. It's this oddly shaped deal that will fit behind your neck, under your hamstrings, on your quads, and your hip flexors. And they're great tools, like Nick's saying, not just for your soft tissue and your fascia, but even for your lymphatics. You know, you can do these nice quick flushes with these tools to just get your lymphatics going really quick. And we have those in our basket, man. And we use them all the time.
It's awesome. And for some of these tools, we'll put links in for you guys so you can check them out too. Another one that's sort of, around that revolves recovery and obviously lots of other things, but two of my favorites are sauna and red light. Yeah, I love these tools for regeneration. I mean, I've got a little mini red light device I take with me to work, and I'll just throw it on my chest while I'm driving. Or I've had tennis elbow before, and I'll just drive with the red light sort of right against my arm, and it's a great way to just infuse our body from the red light, also the near infrared light, just soaking up all that amazing anti-inflammatory and stimulated kind of mechanism that you get from the red light. And the saunas, of course, I mean, creating that detoxification process, the heat shock protein stimulation to just that change in that hormetic response from the heat, and getting that sweat going on a regular basis. I mean, the Finns know what they're doing. Some of their studies on saunas, where they did 4 to 7 saunas per week, showed it was like 40 to 60% decrease all-cause mortality reduction. I mean, this is one of those things in your lifestyle that can be applied different ways. There's different types of saunas. That's a whole nother podcast, of course. But such a powerful tool, both of these things, for regular recovery.
I love the sauna. That's always one of those ones I wish I had more time to do more of them.
Yeah.
But whenever I get in there, man, I feel fantastic. And you honestly feel the benefits, man, immediately when you jump out of that bad boy. And the red light. I use lasers, very familiar with red light. I don't have like the ones you have, but any kind of light therapy, amazing for so many things, from cellular health to circulation to, like you're saying, recovery, rejuvenation, all those stuff.
Yeah.
And just getting your body almost kind of like rehabilitating itself a lot faster.
Totally. Well, I mean, so we had Klaus on, I can't remember his last name right now, but he was talking about the benefits of near infrared for structuring your water, intracellular water. We started this discussion with Aminos and PureForm and creating that structural integrity. And this is like the juice that lights up your cells and helps to increase the exclusion zone, which is that area that's holding a charge that's right against the cell membrane. So it's helping to really actually increase the capacity of electricity within your cells, which feeds the mitochondria and everything else. So that's a really, really wonderful one. And then let's get into some more of the sort of like personal practice, the spiritual practice.
So one I got to mention real quick, though, before we do that, and it'll just take like a couple seconds because I know we're running low on time. Cachava, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Love Cachava. Okay, I turn my patients and a lot of people onto this stuff for convenience. This is an awesome tool to have as a meal replacement or for a snack. It covers a large spectrum of all the nutrients that you kind of don't get in a regular day, and you can get it in one meal. It tastes delicious. You throw it in a shaker bottle, add some cold water, shake it up, and number one, it'll if you are having like a craving, knocks that out, and it really gives you that satiety after you're done. You're not really hungry anymore after that. So love Cachava. Check them out. I'll have them in the show notes, but that's one of the big ones for like if you're on the go instead of picking up like a crappy meal or eating a crappy snack. This is something good to always have with you to make sure you're eating healthy and like I said, getting a higher spectrum of stuff you probably wouldn't get in one day out of that meal.
I love their website too, by the way. Just like these chocolatey looking drinks all over the place.
My mouth's watering. I love that stuff, man.
Looks insanely good. I haven't tried that before, so I'm gonna have to.
You got to get some, man. My
have an experience.
Yeah, I love the chocolate. It's delicious. All right, so back to you, man. Let's go into some of these practices.
Yeah, I think one of the things like that sort of sets a tone for this is that I think many of us find ourselves disconnecting, you know, in many different kinds of ways. And I think for me anyways, whenever I reconnect, you know, through a practice, let's say a yoga routine, doing bandhas, which is basically holding locks in the body and moving breath. Some of that stuff is done through like Mantak Chia or Joe Dispenza, or, you know, we're Kundalini yoga trained. So that's part of a practice. But what that does is it helps me to anchor back into my purpose a little bit more, because I find the disconnect is when we're so stuck in our head, or we're so stuck in like the to-do list or what have you. And maybe we're doing the exercise, we're, you know, eating the right food, we're doing the things that feed the body, but there's this sort of like this body process going on. And then there's this emotional process. And then the spiritual aspect is sort of like creating that integration, that reconnection opportunity. And I'll find myself more easily being able to connect to my purpose when I've, you know, been incorporating more of a regular practice. But when I've been off my practice as a result of the 1,000 things that happen to us in life, it's a little more difficult to connect to that purpose. And that purpose for me is just a feeling. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Oh yeah, like this, I feel so good when I can just get into the energy and vibration of what it is, why I'm showing up and how I'm showing up in the world. But I tell you what, it's harder to like get a taste of that feeling and that just quick little embodiment when we haven't had some sort of our personal work, spiritual practice, our what we call a sadhana, our daily practice. And so that's that reconnect time in the day.
I love that, man. It's the source, right?
Yeah.
I tell people, like, we always have to be connected to the source. And when you, even energetically, when you look at ancient medicine, like what you're talking about, Kundalini and stuff, like you can be moving that energy all through these energy plexuses and these nerve centers. But if you do not have that connection to the source, then it's incomplete. And you're still not fully connected and in that nice flow state that we want to be in, so we can be in that state of power where we're supposed to exist, to feel that peace and love and joy in our life. So I'm always telling people, like, that has got to be a regular practice. It can't slip, because the moment it does, like you're saying, you feel like there's this missing link and things just don't have that coherence that they normally need to have in your life. And then the longer that you don't have that practice, things will unravel really fast.
Yeah. It's easy to forget, right? It's like, I can't tell you how many things in life, especially with kids and being an entrepreneur and all that. Like there's so many things that come into your consciousness that are really, you know, vying for your attention. And when we don't have that anchor, we don't have that place or space for reconnection, it's just so easy to just be, you know, a drifter in the wind, you know, like you don't have a direction for your sail. You've got no compass. You don't know where you're going. And, you know, if you can have a practice that allows you to just reconnect to your purpose, your connection, and or at least give you some time to even reflect on it, so important.
Love it, man. Well, in the spirit of that, I would add Reiki to that. You know, Reiki is something that when Clarissa got into it, from the listeners, that's my wife, I didn't know much about it. You know, I'd heard about it, but haven't really experienced it. And then I started getting worked on, but not just her, but by some of her friends. And I'm a huge advocate for it now, man. I've seen a lot of benefits of how it's helped me. When I need to recharge, when I'm feeling like my body's not bouncing back, and I'm like, we're talking, that connection's not there, I go and get a treatment, man. And I almost feel like it just kind of resets me and starts bringing me back. And, you know, finding that coherence to the source, and then just kind of like encompassing everything and bringing me back into that, giving me the compass, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of like, I just feel more focused energetically. And then there's this calmness about it, right? Like we've talked in that episode we did in the past, it's a very nurturing aspect when you have something like this done to you.
Yeah.
And I challenge everybody, if you haven't tried it, go find somebody who's been experienced, has good reviews, you know, and that you hear a lot about maybe in the community, and go try a few sessions. Do more than just one, because the first one you're going to probably just get used to it, and then do some subsequent ones and see what you think. But I love Reiki, man. That's a big one for me.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's, you know, we can be passive with our practice, which is receiving, you know, the blessings, and there's something really magical about someone doing that sort of body work, that energy work on you, and being receptive enough or open enough to receive is a whole nother practice. I mean, we see that even with, people doing acupuncture or, whatever kind of, mind, body, spirit integration kind of practice, is that the more you can relax into the experience, the more you get out of it. And so, to your point of just doing it once versus, try it out a few times. There's huge benefit to that repetitive process.
Well, I would say if you're a giver, if you notice you're just one of those people, you're either a father figure, a mother figure, you're a healer, you're somebody who's constantly giving all the time. This is a great way to give back to yourself. Because there's this focused energy and that's this stuff coming back to you. And we need that so that we can show up as, a better version of ourselves to keep giving in the way and the manner and the intensity, right? And the potency that we want to be able to do for other people.
Yeah. Love it. I know we got a longer list than that. We didn't write it down, thankfully, because otherwise we'd just have to keep going. But these are things that Dave and I find that we use regularly enough that they're worth mentioning and worth discussing. And so we'd love to hear from you guys. What are you doing for yourselves? What are you adding to your life that adds to your soul, that adds to your body, and adds to your mind on a regular enough basis that's added impact? And we'd love to know about it too.
Yeah, shoot us an email on our website. We'd love to hear about it. Maybe we can look into interviewing somebody more about it. Or, hit us up on some of our social media platforms. I'll be posting this stuff pretty soon, and then we can have some conversations with you all and maybe learn from you all.
Yeah. Awesome. Brother, always a pleasure.
We'll see you next week. This was fun.
Take care, bro.
Later, buddy.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please be sure to subscribe to the Dr. Dads and share with your family and friends. You can also follow and interact with Dr. Nick and Dr. David on Facebook and Instagram for a daily dose of inspiration and the latest in health and wellness. Be well.